Packets. Packets are units of data sent over the internet. All data that gets sent over the internet gets split up and stored in multiple packets. And the reason we use multiple packets to send data is because most data that gets sent over the internet is too large to be sent inside just one packet. And I'll use an analogy to illustrate this. Suppose you plan to build a house and you're ordering all the parts you need to build that house. Obviously, a house can't be shipped to you already put together. You have to send that house in parts. Then, once each of those parts arrive at the destination, then you can put those parts together and construct the house. This is the same reason that we split data up into several packets when transferring it across the internet, because data is simply too large to be put in one packet. So we split it up, then when the data arrives at the destination, the data then gets put back together. That all being said, sending data across the internet in several packets raises several concerns. The first one being the need to make sure each packet reaches its intended destination. And the reason for that is because not each packet will take the same route from point A to point B. To use an analogy, if you've ever bought multiple items from Amazon all in the same order, you know that not every item will come from the same warehouse. One item may come from Seattle, another item might come from Los Angeles. Not only that, but your packages may not even arrive on the same day. Likewise, with packets, individual packets may or may not take the same route, and they may or may not arrive at the same time. Thus, measures need to be taken to ensure that none of the packets get lost during transmission. The other concern we have is the order of the data being maintained. If a bunch of packets arrive at a destination, but the destination has no way of knowing the order that the data is supposed to be put together in, then it's almost like receiving a bunch of parts for an appliance or a house, but no instruction manual. The destination will have no idea how these packets are supposed to be put together. For these reasons, the internet uses a special set of rules called an Internet Protocol, a set of rules that governs how to format individual packets sent over the internet. This protocol dictates that all packets must have a destination IP address, a from IP address, and the actual data being sent. So it's not sufficient to just send the data across the internet. You gotta have that extra information attached to the data as well. Now, that all being said, this protocol only governs how to format an individual packet. We also have a protocol that governs how to format multiple packets whenever you're sending multiple packets across the internet. And it's called the Transmission Control Protocol, also known as TCP. It lays out the rules for sending multiple packets over the internet. It makes sure that each packet arrives and that the data maintains its original order. And here's how. So I have my packet, and I'm going to store metadata on this packet, which is data about the data. That means this packet is going to have a from IP address, it's going to have a destination IP address, it's going to have the size of the data being transferred inside that packet, and it's going to have a packet number. And we give each packet a packet number for two reasons. The first one being if the packets arrive out of order. If the packets arrive out of order, but they each have a packet number, well, then it's no problem. The numbers will tell us which order to put the packets in. The second reason is if one of the packets don't arrive. Because each packet has a packet number, and we know how many packets to expect, if one of the packets don't arrive, we know precisely which packet we didn't receive and which one we need to request. Whereas if we didn't use packet numbers, a destination computer would have no way of ever knowing if all of the packets arrived or not. So, that all being said, now that we've discussed how individual and multiple packets are expected to be formatted, the last set of rules we need to discuss is the rules governing how the data that's inside the packet must be formatted. And the rules that govern this is called the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, also known as HTTP. It defines how messages are formatted and transmitted across the internet. And here's an example of an HTTP request. It'll contain information such as the general header, request header, the body of the data, so on and so forth. Don't concern yourself with knowing precisely how HTTP requires that it to be formatted. All we need to know is that the job of HTTP is to define how messages are formatted before they can be transmitted across the internet.